I'm Thor Olaf Philogène. I am Swedish, et je suis français and French. So I'm also the founder and CEO of Stravito. Now, I know there are a lot of webinars happening at this time, so I'm really honored that you chose ours. And today, if I go to the slide presentation, I will talk about how to use your market research budget more efficiently by maximizing the value of your market research. Now, more specifically, what we will cover today is how you can eliminate, duplicate, and overlapping research, ask better questions to get better research, but also enable fast time to action. If we move forward in this slide deck, I actually wanted to start off today by giving you a brief explanation, a story really, of why we founded Stravito. Now, the idea for Stravito actually came from two of my co-founders, Anders Urbom and Andreas Lee. And they had both previously co-founded the market research agency Norm. Now, that firm was later acquired by GfK and is now actually owned by Ipsos. So they ran Norm for 15 years, and in that time conducted research in over 80 markets with some of the world's biggest brands. They work with the likes of Unilever, Procter & Gamble, and Coca-Cola, just to name a few. And during those 15 years, Anders and Andreas found themselves receiving calls over and over again from global clients that had bought research from them, but could not find it internally. Does this sound familiar? So these clients would instead reach out to Norm, asking them to get a copy. Now, this happened so many times with so many organizations that Anders and Andreas knew this had to be a massive problem. So the idea was born from there. And we founded Stravito because we wanted to solve this problem and help companies make the most out of their market research. Now, you might be aware of this, but market research and competitive insights are a top area of spend. It actually accounts for 13% of marketing budgets on average. And that actually makes sense. Now, we all know that a deep understanding of consumers is essential for success in today's business world. Now, this necessity doesn't change in challenging economic times. For example, 30 to 40% of consumers have been trying new brands or products recently, and almost half are doing so because their usual choice is unavailable. And 19% are opting for more affordable options. The current global situation represents an opportunity to better meet the needs of consumers, but also gain new customers. But it also presents a risk to companies who become complacent. Now, if we move forward, we've seen that companies who maximize the value of their market research are in the best possible position to emerge from this crisis stronger than ever. In our work, we have seen three primary ways of doing this. The first one is to eliminate, duplicate, overlapping research. Now, this one is pretty straightforward, and my co-founders saw this issue a lot when they ran Norm, particularly for global companies. The second one here is asking better questions to get better research. Now, of course, budget efficiency is not just a matter of not ordering research that you don't need. It's also about being able to more precisely pinpoint the research that you do need. So for example, perhaps you realize that you have a solid understanding of topic X, but that has helped you to identify a blind spot on topic Y. And in order to be confident about your subsequent commercial decision, you need to investigate topic Y further. And the last bullet here is enabling fast time to action. And as I kind of alluded to in the previous point, one of the primary purposes of market research is to help us make better business decisions. By enabling faster time from insights to action, we can increase the value that market research gives us. For example, on a larger scale, that might mean applying the findings of a concept test in an innovative way in a new market. Or on a more day-to-day level, it can be making sure that the teams who need to take action, like marketing and sales, are able to swiftly access the information they need. Now, if we picture ourselves having to deal with this challenge in a real organization, we also need to picture the type of infrastructure that typically will exist in such organization. Typically, information will exist in a OneDrive or SharePoint type solution. In the best case, those exist for each market. Now, the challenge is then to get hold of that information, and that usually involves calling around, emailing, and hoping for responses. Now, these efforts can take up a lot of valuable time and slow you down. And when that's the case, sometimes it can feel like it isn't worth the effort in the first place, which can lead to costly oversights. So that's why today I am going to show you how Stravito can support these three strategies. Now, I'm going to walk you through a scenario at a fictional company. So it's a company that does not exist called Sanoni, where I, in this example, will work as the CMI lead. So just going through a few bullets here on this slide. At Sanoni, my job is to create, commission, and share research and insights within the company. Now, especially with the marketing and sales departments. And like many CMI managers, I'm in a difficult situation. So what has happened is that my budget for conducting research has been shrinking steadily for the past few years, but the need for it is increasing. And on top of that, I've just been informed that our budget will be further reduced due to the current economic situation. And that's when I get this email from our CMO in my inbox. So the CMO sends me an email, urgent, we need insights to help us pivot. Thor, sales in Denmark are stagnating, so I want to shift our marketing strategy. We know that sustainability is important to consumers right now, and since we are heavily investing in designing more sustainable products and processes, I want to be sure we are communicating those efforts effectively. I was inspired by another brand who started putting the carbon footprint of their products in their packaging. I think this could be a promising direction. But of course, in the current economic situation, we cannot afford to make this change without calculating the risk first. I need you to commission a study on the use of quantitative sustainability claims like carbon footprint, and I need it as soon as possible. I've included a report that I received from the CSR team that might be helpful. Thank you. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get started by checking what we have on sustainability claims in the company at the moment, in order to avoid ordering duplicate research. I also want to make sure that we haven't already done something on this exact topic. So I'm going to turn off my webcam and I'm going to start sharing my screen. So give me a second. Here we go. You guys should be able to see my screen right now. Okay, so now I'm going to log into Stravito, and what I will show you is a demo environment. So the company details are made up and the data is also made up. But I think it should give you a good idea of what it actually could and would look like. Okay, great. Okay, so I'm about to log in, and in this case, I will use email and password, but in reality, you could also connect to your company's login system if you have a single sign-on, etc. Great. Okay, so I'm logging in. I'm just going to hide this. Log in. Okay, so in order to gather all the relevant information, and I will find when I start looking, I will create by starting what we call a collection. Now, to understand what a collection is, a good way of describing it is like a Spotify playlist. So a Spotify playlist might have a specific purpose. So you might have one for when you're going for a run or when you have dinner with friends. And playlists in Spotify allow you to gather songs. Now, collections in Stravito help you gather information. Now, this will help you to stay organized throughout the entire process, but it will also keep everyone informed without me having to do extra work later on. So I'm going to name this collection Sustainable Marketing. So let's just go ahead and do that. Okay, boom. So I've created this collection, Sustainable Market, and I'm also going to start by uploading the report that the CMO sent me in that email. So I'm going to go from the full screen mode that I have here and go down to the upload section. And then you have the report that he sent, the Avoid Greenwashing. So what I did was I just dragged and dropped that report from my desktop over the web window here and just drop it over the window. Now, what I think is important is when this report comes into the system, it literally gets scanned word for word. Every single word, every single sentence gets scanned, and the full content is being analyzed. And when that content gets analyzed, it also gets automatically classified. And we'll talk more about that. But let's take a sneak peek of what that looks like. If I want to, I can click on Edit Info. So you see that it's picked up the title. It's seen that it's a 2020 report from Nielsen. It's in English, it's a quant study for the insight area, innovation and product. Now it picks up a lot of these different tags. And if I want to, I can simply publish it, so I make it available to the wider organization. Now, this report I will want to add to the collection I created. So I'm gonna drag and drop this to the Sustainable Marketing collection that I just created. Okay, now we've done that, we can get started searching. Okay, so we are looking for sustainability claims. I'm going to type sustainability, and I see that there's some really good suggestions popping up here in autocomplete, so I'll pick the sustainability claims. And now we see what we have on those keywords. So I see that we have several hits. I see a couple of videos that look interesting, sustainable development. I can drag and drop that video immediately to my collection. I also see that there's a Power BI dashboard. So we have an integration with Microsoft Power BI that talks about sustainability, and that's probably relevant. So I'm going to drag and drop this one and add it to the collection. And I see that we have 36 search results. Okay. Now, this is actually a lot of reports, so I don't really have time to go through all of those. So in order to save time, I'm going to narrow down the search results to Scandinavian countries, since he was asking about Denmark. Now you see on top here a bunch of filter values, and all of these are custom to Zanoni, so they're custom to the organization with which we're working. So if I pick the country filter here, the list of all countries where Zanoni exists is available, but I actually want to narrow it down to the Scandinavian one. So I'll type Sweden, I'll type Norway, and then we also want Denmark, of course. So we'll take Denmark. And then I've suddenly narrowed down my results to much fewer reports. Now, a much more manageable amount, and I can browse through which of these that actually looks interesting for this project. Okay, what we can do now is we can see that there's a report here that on top that looks super relevant, and if I want to, what I can do is I can quickly go directly to the key findings. So what I do is I simply bring up the info sheet of the document and go to the key findings. Now, when this opens, it avoids me to read through the entire report. And when I look at what's the content on this page, I'm really glad, because I'm seeing that this study was commissioned in Norway last year by our Norwegian branch, and it tells how they looked at how consumer purchase intentions were affected in these three cases. No sustainability claims, quantitative sustainability claims like carbon footprint, and qualitative sustainability claims like eco-friendly. And what they found was that quantitative claims did not lead to higher purchase intentions when compared to no claim or qualitative claims. Instead, they found that qualitative claims were more likely to increase consumer purchase intention. So we actually already have data. We actually have what we need to make an informed decision about one aspect of our CMO's request. And in the past, we have found that it's possible to apply findings from the Norwegian to the Danish market as the cultures are similar enough. So hence, going back to the original idea we wanted to test, we now have a good data indicating that we would not boost our sales by adding carbon footprint to our packaging. However, now that I do have qualitative claims, I know that qualitative claims are better, I will instead use my budget to commission a study that investigates what qualitative claims perform best. And that way, we can make sure that our marketing pivot is as successful as possible. So before doing that, I thought this report was super relevant, so I'm going to drag and drop that to the collection. And let's just say that this report is also super relevant, so we add that one to the collection too. Okay, great. Now, so in the second part of the demo, I'm actually going to get the research process started with the agency. Now, first, I'm going to create what we call an agency project. So I'm going to open up the agency lobby. And this is how I interact with a research agency using Stravito. So I'm going to create this project, and I'm going to give it a name. So let's decide, let's come up with a name. Let's call it Qualitative Sustainability Claims. Okay. So I can add a description here, which could, for instance, include a PO number to help me stay organized. Okay. So now we've created this project. I'm going to go back to the collection we created, and here you guys see that all the reports that we dragged and dropped before are there, including the one that we uploaded, but also the Power BI dashboard and the video we found. All of those are in this collection. And because I want the agency to learn the things that we just found out, I'm going to add this report to the project. So I'm going to add it to the project we just created, Qualitative Sustainability Claims. Okay, great. Let's just add the one that the CEO also gave us. So add this one to, great, perfect. Okay, now we see that, once we've done that, I'm also going to upload, I'm just going to upload a brief. So let me just do that. I'm going to upload my brief here. Great. And so I created a brief before, and so I simply added it to the project. And I'm going to invite somebody to participate in this project. So I'm going to invite Sarah Wiggins, who I've worked with before on the agency side, and invite her here. Now, one of the great things about this is that I am actually able to manage multiple projects at once in the same place. So while I'm waiting, I'm going to check briefly the status of some other projects that I have going at the moment. So we see that there's a project going on here with Ipsos, and I can see what's going on here. I also see that I have a project ongoing with Kantar, and I can see that that one seems to be going in the right direction, which is great. Okay, now even the speediest external research project will have more than 30, will take more than 30 minutes. So in the interest of time today, we're going to magically condense 1 to 3 months in a few seconds. So now I see that the agency, let's go to the project we've just created, and I see that the agency has actually uploaded a final report that summarizes what they found about qualitative sustainability claims here. So once that final report is done, all I need to do is to publish it. So I could click Ready to Publish, and I can select the file that came in while we were away as the main file. And once that's done, I can publish it. And once that's published, I effectively make it available to all the people within the organization that I want to have access to. So once that's done, the file is available, so it's now in the system. And what I can do is I can simply go ahead and drag and drop that report into the collection we just created. Okay, now, of course, I want to make it as easy as possible for my colleagues to find this information. So what I'm going to do right now is also take a few seconds to make sure that I'm also bringing the information to them. Now, first, I will make sure that I add this report into the Sustainable Marketing collection so that everyone can stay up to date with both the old but also the new information. So if we go here, we see that this report is there. I can simply drag and drop it and add it to the Sustainable Marketing collection. And if I go to this collection, I now have a bunch of reports that are super relevant. Now, if I want to share this organization, I can click here and get a shareable link. So I have a link I can share by email or whatever communication tool you're using internally. But since I also want the wider organization to take part of this information, I think a recommended collection would be a good format for sharing. So in that way, it would become visible to all people that log in and that don't have to search to find it. So we do that by clicking here and adding it as a recommended collection. Great, so we'll tell you what that is in a few seconds. So if I click here, I go to the home view, and I think, in order to understand what the home view is, it's kind of like the landing page for where people arrive upon login. And now, when you go to the home view, our collection with the new search shows up right when my colleague logs in. Now, as mentioned before, collections are a bit like playlists on Spotify with different purposes. And recommended collections are ones that I, as a CMI person, can specify should be recommended to others. And that's what we did before, when they log in. So here we see a bunch of recommended collections. And we also see the last one that we created here, Sustainable Marketing. So that one that we created suddenly became available to all the employees within the organization. And that's a great way to promote that information internally. Now, the most popular reports can also reach my colleagues' inboxes with the weekly digest email. Now, that's an email that we send out automatically on a weekly basis that shares the most popular new reports to all users. So then everyone will get another reminder about this new research, making it even more likely that they will read it and make use of the findings. Now, the best part of these information sharing methods, like weekly digests and recommended collections, is that they allow me to reach a maximum number of people with a minimum amount of time and effort. And that's why we can quickly go from an idea to everyone in the organization to have access to new and relevant research in a budget-friendly way. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn on my webcam and end my screen share, and go so here you see an email that is very much like the weekly digest email that I talked about for a few seconds ago. Okay, great. So let's go through this slide. Now, the best way to enhance the budget friendliness of your market research is to adopt a series of behaviors that allow you to maximize its value, as I've shown you today. Now, this first bullet talks about being able to quickly evaluate what you have makes it easier to eliminate duplicate research and subsequently unnecessary spend. Now, as the second bullet here, it also enables you to be more precise when deciding on the scope of your market research, giving results that you provide more value for your money. And the third one here is that by using technology, you can help speed up the processes. You can decrease the time between an idea and an action, helping your market research to provide you with a higher return on investment sooner. Now, what we have seen working with a lot of global organizations, if we take, for instance, bullet one, is that it can be as much as 10 to 20% of research spend that can be saved. And if we take a look at the third one bullet, I think probably, I'm guessing a lot of people, you can relate to concept tests, test concepts that have been tested before and that are being tested again, when in fact the knowledge was there, it simply wasn't accessible. And we have seen in some cases that you can save as much as 6 months or more by just finding those concept tests and instead of having to go through the full process again. So there's really a huge opportunity to save there. Okay, so that marks the end of my presentation here, and thank you so much for listening. And you have any questions, you can reach out to me at thor@stravito.com. Thank you so much.